Welcome everyone to the Beth Bell Live channel on YouTube. We're here to awaken inner wisdom, and fortunately or unfortunately, a lot of times the way we do that is through heartbreak and heartache. And that's what we're here to do, is to break through all of those patterns, decode all of the long standing patterns and issues that we've had that stop us from love, stop us from feeling love, stop us from knowing we are love, all of that juicy stuff, all the little trials and tribulations. But I thought today I would start out with a few stories, because it feels like there's a lot going on right now. And a couple of things. I go for a walk every morning with my dog, Miss Lily. And I often try to go over to a place called Swami's, which is this beautiful outlook over the ocean. I mean, it's just so peaceful. It's right next to Yogananda's Self-Realization Center. And on my way there, especially in the summer months, I love to get a little flower and put it in my ear. I don't know if you can see it. It might have fallen out. Actually, it fell out earlier. I was like, where is it? And it was like right here in my pocket. So I put the little flower in because I haven't seen these flowers for a while. It's just sort of been like, winter time, and now it's springtime. And so I put the flower in, and, I'm walking over, and not very many people. The surf wasn't super big, so it was kind of subdued, but a beautiful morning, and walked to just look out. And as I walked towards the lookout area, I saw a gentleman. And if you happen to be watching on live, you'll, I think, hopefully like the story that I'm sharing. And he saw me. He was a more mature gentleman, let's say that. And he saw me, and he went over and he picked a flower, and he came right up to me, and he handed me this little flower, and he said, "I just don't know when the last time someone's given you a flower." And so I said, "Oh gosh, thank you." And I said, "Well, actually, I just picked one this morning and I put it in my ear." And so it opened up this beautiful conversation. He wasn't hitting on me, I promise you. He just was a beautiful soul, just wanting to make connection. And so I said, I already have a flower. It's in this ear. And another gentleman was kind of standing there with his van. And then the guy says, "Well, you know what it means when you have the flower in this ear," which is my right ear. I don't know how it shows on YouTube, but and I said, "I don't remember. Does this mean I'm single or I'm in a relationship?" And so the other guy kind of overhears, and he says, "Well, it's always the flower that the side that's closest to your heart it means that you're taken." So I was like, "Oh, okay, that must be the left ear." Okay, why am I telling you all this? Because of a couple of reasons. So then the other gentleman says, "Well, oh, okay." And I'm like, "I don't really know." And I said, "Who knows? Maybe it's," and I wasn't trying to be snarky about it. I just was like, "Well, maybe it's like he, she, they, them, and just suggesting that like it doesn't really matter, and let's just have fun with it." And then he said, "Oh, well, I mean," I said, "we can do whatever we want. We can make up whatever we want." And he said, well, that's what Trump's doing." And so I was like, oh gosh, that was kind of like, from the beauty of flowers and connection and everything to Trump. And I just said, yeah. And maybe he's showing us a different way. I said, I don't like the way, but maybe he's showing us a different way. And maybe there's divinity in the insanity. And the guy that was overhearing says, "Oh my gosh, that's great. Divinity in the insanity." So let's not get into the conversation about politics. Let's not get into the characters. Let's get into the connection and the divinity of sometimes the chaotic insanity that's happening around us. Like right now, as I'm doing the live show, there's a big street fair going on downtown Encinitas, and there's a ton of noise. I hope you can't hear it, just because it feels a little disruptive to me. So I had to sit with myself and go, okay, I'm not going to let this disrupt me, my show, the flow, the insights that I bring through. I'm going to feel into that noise as a fun energy that's out there, bringing excitement and fun to the community. And I'm just going to know that there are a ton of people out there having a good time, probably eating good stuff, however you want to say good. And and it's all part of being in community and just reshaping the lens of which we see our lives. And when we're in that intensity and that chaos with others and with our relationship to others, it's so important that we just go inward and we reframe and we really find the juicy nuggets and the lessons that we are calling in to learn for ourselves. Because if we don't, then we just repeat the same darn patterns. And so that's what this is all about, is, decoding those patterns and unraveling our minds and finding that blissfully neutral state within ourselves. So things happen and we go high and we go low. And it's how quickly, not necessarily quickly in the time sense, but how quickly can we just come back to that space within ourselves where we find that peace that passes all understanding within our own heart and our own mind. And not getting so caught up in what's happening in the external realms, because the only thing we can really ultimately be responsible for is our internal state. So that's my little monologue coming into this. I feel like it's a good time because this is the time for all of us to harness our toolbox and really find that blissfully neutral state so we can be awakening agents for others. So that's what I'm here to be for everyone else, as an awakening agent, to help hold your hand. I'm just helping you remember and bringing through insights from your higher self, my higher self, and reframing some of life's most challenging and difficult situations, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. Okay, so one last thing before I jump into the questions that were submitted. If you haven't already done your state of the heart assessment, you may want to do that. You can go to bethbell.me and you'll find out not only which state of heart you're in, if you're blocked, broken, healing, or whole, but you'll also get the 5 steps back to healing, to wholeness. So your heart is always in wholeness. It's just the mind that wants to bring in the storylines that can, put us on a little bit of a roller coaster. So if you're interested in finding out a little bit more and just getting a few extra tools for your box to go deeper into your heart space and get rid of the craziness of the mind, you might want to go to bethbell.me and do that. All right, let's jump in. Question number 1, and I actually moved this question forward based on my conversation and what I was just telling you about. Let's see how it hits you. I have such a disparity with loved ones on what's happening in the political landscape. It's becoming more and more difficult to navigate this, and it's heartbreaking for me. How do I get out of it and back to healthy relationships with people close to me? There are several things coming through on this. People close to you. Let's start defining what's close to you. How aligned are you? Now, not from a judgment, but how aligned are you in your heart space with them? If they are someone that makes your heart glow, I would put them in a different category than people who are, dare I say, sucking your light is what I mean. Like they're draining you of your energy. Those people, I would start to think, maybe it's time that I just allow them to be them in their own space, and I don't call them maybe as often. Maybe I don't reach out to them as often. Maybe I don't engage in this back and forth with them. Maybe I just really make a conscious effort. And so maybe you're just kind of letting people go. I'm not saying you're ghosting them. I'm not saying you're pushing them away. I'm just saying that you're allowing them to be them without you being in the mind mess of what it means based on their beliefs versus yours. So just kind of feel into like, who are these people to you? Because they may not be as close to you as you think. They may have been at some point in time. And so let's look at this as an opportunity to just fine tune the people that are in our inner circle, in our inner sphere. If they're not in our inner sphere, but you said people close to me, so I'm going to speak to that. But if they're not, then for sure, just allow that person to just, dissipate out of your reality. They'll come back in when it's necessary. And again, there's no pushing, no shoving, no, I'm not talking to you anymore. None of that. Actually, that will make things worse. So you want to just really come back to the heart space and be really gentle about your delivery. And just sometimes maybe it's not returning a phone call, but not out of spite. Okay. So people that are close to you, people you have that heart resonance with, here's a tip. I think what happened this morning was very divine. It just came out of me. I wasn't premeditated. I wasn't expecting to go from flowers to Trump. And I just said what came to me, which was, maybe there's just something really big and beautiful happening in the background of this, was what I was feeling. Those weren't exactly the words I used, but just seeing the divinity in everything. And it doesn't mean that you agree with how it's being done. I don't agree with how it's being done. There's lots of things that create discord for me with what's happening right now, especially in the political landscape, and I don't even follow it. The reason why I'm saying it is that I find a way to say, I'm going to trust that the powers that be are doing the magic that need to happen. And that we have to also recognize that the collective conscious is going through a massive transformation. Massive. Otherwise, these people wouldn't be in these positions and the powers at play. It's not just our country, the United States. It's many other countries. Other countries are at war over religion, over a lot of different issues. So we have to stay centered here. This is our calling. Because if you're on my channel, if you're on my channel watching this, you are someone who is waking up to some degree, or you're very awake already. And you're here to make a difference on the planet. And making a difference on the planet is not about arguing about political stances, political views. We don't even know these characters personally. So it is what it is right now. We're not in a voting time. We're not in a, getting new leadership time. We're in a time where this is what it is. And the best thing we can do is go pick a flower for a complete stranger and say, hey, I don't know the last time that somebody gave you a flower, and I just wanted to give this to you. I mean, how beautiful, how beautiful. So I also say that during that conversation, going back, so if you're hearing this question separately from the whole show later on in replay, the gentleman that gave me the flower, he also started talking to me about his hearing loss, because he was having a hard time hearing a few things, and he had in hearing aids, and he was telling me how challenging that was. And I just remember there was a moment in time where I was like, oh gosh, I got to get home. Like, what am I doing? I gotta get ready. And I was like, no, I don't. I can just sit here and listen for another 5 minutes if I want to. And so I did. And I think, I had this beautiful connection with this person that meant, nothing and probably everything all in that moment. Because he felt heard. And I was able to say, hey, like, good job, bravo for wearing your hearing aids, because why are we worried about what other people judge? I have friends that are in their 60s and 50s. I think she's and maybe late 50s, who has hearing aids, and she's like really bold and proud of it. So I guess the thing that came for me out of that is, caring less about what other people think, and taking the time to make the connection, to just, the extra few minutes that it took me to have that conversation felt beautiful to me, And so I think ultimately what I'm saying about this question is bring it back to listening to others, having boundaries, and staying focused on the heart connection conversations. And when they start to wobble over to something else that feels less heartfelt, they can be passionate. I'm not saying they're not passionate conversations, but if they're not heartfelt, if they're not really going to get you anywhere from a vibrational perspective, because otherwise we're just fighting mind to mind. And I'm just saying, let's join heart to heart. Let's do that more often. Let's do that with others. So for your situation with the people that are close to you, just start doing that. Get back to heart conversations. And if you have to be that bold and that blunt and say, you know what, I hear you, but we may disagree on some things, or whatever comes to mind in that moment to say, but let's go back to the things that really matter, and come up with 1 or 2 lines of things you're going to say, like, boom, I'm going to say this when somebody's trying to take me down a rabbit hole. And that goes for everything, not just politics. I'm going to have these little one-liners of, hey, how's your heart today? How are you feeling? Like, hey, what's going on in your life right now? Is there anything I can support you on? Is there anything I can help you with? Just shifting it right out of the gate is the best thing to do, because then you don't have to go down the rabbit hole of things that you disagree on and get into that energy that just does not help anyone. All right. I'm happy to hear anybody's comments. I know there's sometimes a lot of hot buttons around this. So by by all means, comment and I can elaborate more if you'd like. But I think the points are made. Okay, let's go on to the next question. How do I help my husband heal his inner child? I love him. I want to support him. So what does that look like in a healthy relationship? The image that I'm being given right now is when you're in the airplane and they say, put your own oxygen mask on first. That's what is coming to me for you. Like, stop focusing on their growth and focus on yours. And I know that I said that I feel a little harshly, but I don't mean it as harshly. I mean it as sort of tough love. Like, a lot of times I do this myself all the time too. Like, I'm focused on someone else. Oh, there's their learning opportunity. Here's da 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 da. Because sometimes we can see it. We can see it for them. We can see what it is that they need to work on. And it's okay to, to throw out some nuggets and throw out some insights. But then you got to let them do their journey. You got to let them decide, hey, am I going to do this or not? And as you know, relationships are mirrors. They are reflectors for us. So if your husband is not wanting to heal his inner child, and that's what you're thinking, that's your perception, chances are you got to get in there and heal yours. That's actually what he's trying to tell you, is that, hey, honey, it's your time. It's your time to heal your own inner child. Doesn't mean that he doesn't need to heal his. I'm just saying that you are not responsible for his healing. You are not responsible for him finding his way back to wholeness. We are only responsible for ourselves and remembering who we really are. And who we really are is perfect, healed, and whole. Hard to believe sometimes, isn't it? But that's who we really are. You may know from my book, Angels, Herpes, and Psychedelics, that I'm a Course in Miracles student. I admit I don't look at it every day. I used to, years ago, I used to look at it every day. I probably should, because I really love how much more I understand now today and how I think easier some of the material would be for me. But it's recognizing, it's just recognizing how we just make up all these stories about ourselves because they're experiences that we called in to have for our growth, to get us back to remembering who we are. It's like so darn simple. And yet we make it so complicated because that's just sort of, the simulation that we're in right now. And that was another conversation I had recently with a dear friend, that are we in a simulation? We can talk about that on another question, but I do think that there's some level of using that terminology of being in a simulation that we can use. We are multidimensional selves having a human experience here on planet Earth. So stay in your own healing is really the point. Worry less about what your husband's doing. His inner child and your inner child are deeply connected. So heal yours. And by doing that, you will be offering him a way, showing him a way. You know that as a parent, the best thing to do is to show the way. As a leader, the best thing to do is to show the way. If we just tell people what to do, and I'm not suggesting you're doing this, but if we just tell people what to do and we don't show them what that looks like, then it's pretty hard for people to actually emulate and do it themselves. So jump in there, do your healing work, and I think you'll find some good stuff. And come back to the show and let me know if you've seen a switch, or if you've had some profound transformation. And if you're so bold to share what that is in our comments here, let me know, because I always love to hear the stuff that comes of the insights. All right, I'm going to jump into the next question here. All right, and if any of our live viewers have a question, please put them in the comments. I always love to grab the live ones. Okay, this is actually quite a long one here. Thinking about jealousy recently. There's a graspy feeling, possessiveness, trying to get to the bottom of what it's covering up. Like, why isn't he calling me? Why isn't he choosing to spend time with me? Thinking about him having fun with others when I'm not there doesn't feel good. As I say this, I can feel that I'm making it about me. His interest in other things make me feel less than in my own body. So I guess it's pointing to a wound within me. Thoughts? Yeah, I love that you're sort of like just dumping the mind here and and opening the heart to the reflection and inquisition of, why am I feeling this? Why am I feeling this possessiveness? And what comes is to say that one of the things that we all fear is being alone. Whether it's being alone in romantic relationships, whether it's being alone on a holiday, whether it's being alone in our homes when we just feel like we want to be in communion, there is a huge spiritual lesson, awakening, awareness that comes with knowing how to be alone. It doesn't mean you have to always be alone, but it means that you find a space, a place within you that you don't have to have someone else there. But when you do have someone else there, that you revel in the sharing of your soul with that person at whatever level. So if it's a friend, it might be different than a beloved. It might be different than a family member. Like every relationship is going to have different levels of sacredness to your soul and what they mean to you. But if you're sitting there alone and worrying about, well, actually, you didn't say that if you're, I'm going back here, grasping at the feelings and I guess the possessiveness, then it's an attachment to not wanting to be alone and having them be with others. And so that I don't actually see it as much as possessiveness in this situation, at least energetically. I'm not getting as much of the possessiveness as I am. You are just I just get this feeling of like you're trying to fit in, feel where you fit in, that you are desiring that community, that you are balancing that, how much community and where's my community? Where are my people? I don't want to be here by myself. And a beloved is always a great person to pull in to say, okay, well, but at least you're here. And it's okay to lean on our beloveds. That's okay. But when we require them to be there, which is just a little bit of the energy that I believe you're feeling here, of like, I need them to be here, I want them to be here, then yes, you're on it. It's attachment. And this is, awakening is the opposite of attachments. It's not being attached to others, not being attached to an outcome, not being attached to the programs and the beliefs that we have about ourselves and others, and freeing ourselves from that. So I know there was kind of a lot there, but I feel like you're in such a good space because you're having this deeper reflection about it, and you're willing to even admit that, hey, maybe I'm being a little possessive. But I don't feel it so much that as it is you just wanting to find your community of people. And so find it deep within yourself who you really are, what you are doing, and just keep anchoring into that, and anchor into what that feels like to be alone and in love with yourself. And maybe that's a little bit of journaling. Like, what are the things that I love about myself? Like, what do I love to do? What do I love about myself in community with others? And just start reflecting in that energy of how you want to feel and how you do already feel when you're in community with others. Because as you know, the basics of the law of attraction are that when you think it and you most importantly feel it, you attract it, because you put the energy out into the field. And the law of attraction is that it has to come back to you unless you put a blocking thought out there, unless you put a doubt, unless you put a fear out there. So the more you start journaling about community and what it is that you feel you get from this significant other, having him in your life, like, what are those things? Like, if he was with you right now and not with all of them, how would you feel? And then just go there. I just want to go there. I just want to feel that. I know sometimes that feels hard when the other person isn't sitting there with us, but you can do it, and you will, and you have. I know you have. So, we can say it's our imagination, but it's really a remembering. I know I keep saying that word. It feels like that's a big theme today, is remembering to who we really are, which is a part of source. We are all a part of source energy, however you want to define that. And for you, you will, if you have no idea what I'm talking about or you want to challenge me on it, that's fine. But there will come a time in this lifetime, I believe for you, that you will have a deeper awareness, understanding, and embodiment of what it feels like to remember and connect to source, which is you, but something also greater than you all at the same time, and something that we are all connected to. Yes, I know. They're big concepts sometimes, but they're concepts that are innately within you. I'm not telling you something that you don't already know. It's just remembering. All right, let's jump to the next question. I've been super excited to go on a trip with a newer friend because we planned to look at homes in Europe to potentially invest in together for personal and business. Upon arrival, it became clear that we weren't a match. And as days went on, it became painful to realize this was a dream that wouldn't be fulfilled. I know there are other opportunities, but it's heartbreaking to not feel aligned with my place yet in the world. I'm over 60, so it's not like this is my first broken dream. How do I manifest something different? Realize that each experience is helping you know more about what you want. And so I know what that feels like to have a dream, just feel so confident about something, like, oh yeah, I'm going to go do that. And you feel confident about the person. I mean, obviously, if you've planned a trip to Europe, you knew enough about them. And if you're talking about the possibility of investing in something, like, you knew enough about them you had an intuitive hit about them. You had a dream about, what this could be. It didn't just come out of nowhere. It's not like you met this person on the airplane. And so I get that, but stay focused, not on the feelings of disappointment. Stay focused on the clarity of which you've just received. Even if there's a pattern, well, that's step 2, because step 2 will be identify the patterns, but be happy that you got clarity, number 1, on who they are and that they're not the right one early. And number 2, that you have clarity about the aspects about this person that you go, yep, those are non-negotiables, or those are things that are big no's for me. And I didn't even know they were no's, or yeah, I knew they were no's, but why did they have to show up again? And then that gets us into the next part, which is identifying the patterns. So I'm only saying this because it's coming to me. If it's not for you, it's for the collective. But if you've had these other broken dreams, there's a good chance that there is a little theme in there, that there's a little like thread of a pattern that you're asking this person to bring forward for you yet again. And those are the painful bits. Like, they're painful because, like, we get so tired of the repetitive nature of our patterns until we figure out how to break them and blow them up. And so I think that's the beauty of what's happening for you right now, is that you're really ready to blow up this misalignment with people when it comes to finding a place, a space to call yours. And I'm also feeling that for you too, similar to the earlier question, that there's a part of you that's just so wanting that home, that place. I mean, I know that it sounds like it's more of a business / personal place for you to be. Maybe it's not your primary home, but it's okay to have a certain level of identity with a space that represents us. The trick is to not be attached to it. So let's not forget that if we attach our identity to a home, a place, a car, a job, our wealth, then we're not in the right vibrational essence, because we're attached to those things. And the beauty here is that you have a couple of opportunities, and that is to really step away and say, these are the things that I don't want in a partner, a business partner. These are the things that I do want. And these are the patterns that I'm seeing that I want to release and let go of. So only you know what that pattern is, because I don't have enough of the details here. I'm happy to go through, go deeper into what those patterns are. If you want to come back on next week's show, or you want to go on to bethbell.me and schedule a one-on-one, we can go deeper into the very specifics of it and really blow up, like, why is it that you're attracting potentially another person that's not helping you to fulfill your dreams. And it may be that you're not supposed to be in partnership at all in investing in a property. I'm just throwing it out there. It might be that that is the main reason for this kind of falling apart, is that it's like, no, you're not supposed to be doing this with someone else. Because as you know, partnership can be, teamwork is dream work until it's not. And I don't mean to make fun of that, because I do believe a lot in teamwork, and I do believe a lot in connection and in community. But sometimes if you're with the wrong community, it can go really sour. And so you've got to just anchor into, all the things that you want, get really excited about what you want and what you see and what you got out of the exploration, and look at it as an exploration, not as a failure, not as another failed dream. Really important that you get that nuance in there of not, check another failed dream. No, you can't do that, because then that brings that vibration of disappointment in. And that's what you've got to continue to just like let go, like water under the bridge. Thank you. Thank you for showing me who you are. Thank you for showing me what I don't want. And thank you for bringing more clarity on what I do want, so that I can manifest more of that and less of the other stuff. Hopefully that's helpful. I love these kinds of questions because they can be really heartbreaking. And we oftentimes have a way where we are seeing the best in others. I know this is kind of a sticky point for me. It certainly was for me when I was in Bali and I had my store on Monkey Forest Road. And gosh, I had all these beautiful Balinese women that were coming to work for me, and I wanted to see the best in them. And it's a great attribute to have, to want to see the best in people, but they also have to want to see the best in themselves, and they have to want to achieve it themselves. And that's not always the case, and that's not your responsibility. So I'm saying that, I guess, in relationship to the person that you were looking to potentially partner with may not be the person that you think that they are. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. It just may be that they just don't have the same aspirations that you do, or the same way about how you navigate. And there's nothing wrong with it. Just let it be water under the bridge. You got some great learnings. You had some great experience. And most importantly, here, this is coming really strong, that you should be sure to communicate with a very open heart with this person. Practice. I don't know the dynamic, but I do feel like practice. How you communicate to them that this isn't the right opportunity for you, in a way that's not hurtful for them, very conscious, it's like a conscious uncoupling from a romantic situation, although there's no romance. And I say that because the heartstrings, when the heart's involved, when our dreams are involved, when our emotions are involved, it's harder to sometimes to speak our truth. And I think this is an opportunity for you to practice. And if it doesn't come out right, that you can say, oh, hey, I'm sorry, that didn't come out quite right. Because that will help you if and when you're supposed to be in a partnership with someone in this property investment. It will help you build that toolbox to have all those difficult conversations that come along the way when you do find, if you want to find that person, how to communicate about your needs, how to listen to their needs, and how to overcome some of the conflict that comes when, 1 year down the road, 2 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, or who knows, when you want to go to sell the property. So I think every opportunity is such a great opportunity to practice speaking our truth and being in our heart center, and really wanting to take in, the lesson as to why we called that person in for our growth and why they're there. So hopefully that little addition there is also helpful. All right, I want to jump in because we've got a couple more questions here. Okay, I just realized that my relationship with my sister-in-law has been planting seeds of doubt in myself for years. I want to shift this dynamic, but not sure how, because the pattern feels so strong and intertwined. Any advice? Well, this is an interesting one too, because, we have our family, and then we have our chosen family, and I'm going to put the sister-in-law in the family category because you didn't necessarily choose her, your brother did. And yet she's in your life for a reason. And then, of course, the basics on this is that you have a soul contract with her, as does your brother. And so she's in your life for a beautiful reason. And I get the pain that this can cause when we feel like I don't know, the word stuck comes to mind, and it might not be for you. It might be more for the collective, but I think we do often feel stuck when we have family issues that happen to us because they're our family. Like, unless we're going to not go to holidays or we're going to disown them or whatever, none of which I would necessarily recommend. um, but we feel kind of stuck with the situation. And if this pattern and this, you say the dynamic, it's probably been happening for years. I don't know how long she's been your sister-in-law, but let's just say it's 20 years or maybe it's 10 years. Either way, yeah, those patterns are there. And so when you walk into her energy field, both of you have an ingrained pattern. Now, there's a couple of things I think you can do to stop the pattern, and it might be if you feel bold enough. I'm not sure if this is the right thing for you right now. Maybe this is like a step 2 or 3 down the road, but having a different venue. So if you normally go to her house, maybe you say, "Hey, kid, we made out for lunch." And I've got this favorite place that I haven't been, or a new place or a favorite place, and I haven't been there yet. And I would just love to experience it with you. Or depending upon the dynamic, you might say, "Hey, is there any place that you haven't been to that you just love to go to?" Or, is there any place that maybe, I don't know, this is what's coming to me, that my brother wouldn't want to go to, but you just would love to go to? Like, let's go do that together. Let's have an experience together. And see what comes, and see if they're willing to go and be in a different dynamic, a different energy, a different space, a different place, and think about different topics. Because I think a lot of times we get into the comfort topics with our families, and so find topics that are just different. And maybe the question is I feel like we've known each other for 15, I'm making this up as a little role play here. We've known each other for 10, 15 years, whatever it is. And yet I realize that there's so many things that I don't know about you, and I would just love to know. And so you ask a few really open-ended questions and see what comes. See if they're willing to share something more, and see if you're not able to just open up a different can with her, a different box, a different, or, "Hey, I was just thinking, like, maybe we could just shift our holiday tradition ever so slightly. Would you have any interest in, like, brainstorming or just talking about this?" Or, "Hey, what's the one thing you really love about if you spend Christmas with them, the Christmas tradition, or what's the one thing that you really dislike?" And just find out a little bit more, like, learn a little bit more. Now, if there's a chance that that you think there's no way she's gonna, like, go out with me, then I would find a way to have that time in a comfortable situation. Like, if you always go to their house or whatever, then still maybe ask some of the same questions, and just pepper it in. Like, if it's uncomfortable and awkward, great. Just feel the uncomfortable and awkwardness, and make a conscious intention in the moment to just go, and let me just let that go. That's your work, right? Is to be in the face of someone who you feel like maybe doesn't support you, doesn't like you, you have discord with, and just allowing whatever comes from them to just flow through you and be released. So feel into the lesson for you here, and like how you can be in that dynamic in a way that just really allows you to just flush it out. Okay, I know I've got some things coming in here, so I want to just take a quick look at the live, and we'll see where we're at here on this. Okay, yes. I've got a question here. So, okay. Okay, so this is, I'll take this one. "I have a coworker who is a girl, and we dated, and she turned out to be a man. Is it gay if we 69 together for just one time? Will I turn gay if I do it? Just asking because she looks like a girl, because she has..." Okay, so I think, should I let her? Okay, listen. First of all, thank you, Blooded Fury, for your attendance here on the channel. I'm gonna answer this, but I also feel, I'll be really honest with you, I feel like there's a little bit of you just wanting to kind of like and create a little yeah, energy stir here. And so what I would ask of you is to really dig deep within yourself and say, why am I asking this question? Why did I call this person in? Why is this something in my reality that's taking place for me? And sit with that on your own. And I think you're going to find your own answers to this question. And every relationship we have with others is one that helps us awaken more deeply to who we really are. So I think you've got some really good questions here that you can answer deeply within yourself. And so I'm going to kind of put that one back onto you, because I feel like there's more of yeah, just a little bit of a stirring the pot here with the energy of which you're projecting out. So you've got the answers deep within you. I know you do. And so I'm going to say that, yeah, that inner wisdom is coming forward for you to really identify with. Okay, so let's see here. You are right. All right, thank you. And blessings to you. I think you've got a lot going on that's good, and you're on your path. And so I appreciate that. And I appreciate you tuning in and asking here. Okay, let's see. Not my question, but I love the idea of shifting the energy and creating an experience together. Very useful on many fronts. Okay, thank you. I think that was in reference to the sister-in-law. And I think we can use, that in so many situations when we just have discord with people. It could be with a work colleague. It can be, it can be with coworkers. It can be with people in the community. It could be with someone in your spin class, and the reason why I'm bringing it back up is because oftentimes, now, sometimes the patterns over long periods of time have a lot more hooks in them. But I think that what's coming forward on this is that we can really see how our stories get built up into something so much bigger than what they are or are not. And it's coming back to, what story am I creating about this person? And what story am I creating about myself and my perception of self in the presence of that other person? And just anchoring into that, and sometimes saying nothing is the best. So I would just offer that you feel into that heart space and let your heart really glow and be open to what that relationship is in your life for. And there are times when these beloveds in our life, and I say beloved in this case, meaning also family, that we do have to just kind of let them go. And again, it doesn't mean we ghost. It doesn't mean we say or do anything with malice. It just means that we don't get ourselves back in the hook of being in the muck of it, and that we just really don't, it's a distraction, that we don't let the distraction happen, that we let ourselves really anchor in and be in the bliss of who we really are. Okay, let's see. I forgot one more question here, and then we're down to the wire. Okay. I trust myself and my intuition. However, lately it feels like it's failed me, and I've lost confidence in myself because things didn't shake out the way I was envisioning. My decisions felt aligned with my purpose, and yet I don't see the external world reflecting what I saw in my mind's eye. It's frustrating, and I don't know how to get past it. Specifically for you, what I'm getting on this one is that, and I've had this happen to myself so many times, is when we first awaken, I'm going to back up a little bit just to give an overview, but when we first awaken, oftentimes manifesting feels easy because we're open to this new possibilities. We understand there's something bigger than us. We're really excited and curious, and we want to get into that energy. And then we learn about manifesting and whatever. We've read the book, The Secret and the Law of Attraction. And then we start manifesting all these little things. and big things, and things just feel like, oh my God, it's just in flow and things are happening. And then on the awakening journey, oftentimes what happens is we get challenged, and we get challenged a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And it's always going to be the doubts and the fears, the shame, the unworthiness, all these different things that start to come in and make us feel like our magic wand is broken, or like, wow, why wasn't I able to get that to work, or whatever. And so I'm always going to say, go back to the reflection of, why did you call in that experience of it feeling like maybe it failed or it didn't happen? But take away the disappointment and the emotion that makes it feel like a bad experience. I don't know why this is coming forward, but like a lot of times people, I know why, because even yesterday I was at a conference, scientific conference about psychedelics. And we were talking about, the perception of a bad trip. And we're talking about this in a very safe setting. We're talking about this in a sacred ceremonial usage. And if you want to learn more about that, you can go to the bethbell.me, and I've got the psychedelics resource guide. But we were talking about a bad trip, and I understand why people say that there's a bad trip, and I honor that, and I get that. And yet there's doesn't have to be a bad trip. It's that you are being shown something deep within your psyche, something within the collective consciousness that's up for you walking through, for you blowing up. It's like the boogeyman under the bed when you were little, and just look under the bed. It's not there. Because you're allowing yourself to just move through the experience. Now, I don't know, sometimes I get off onto these tangents, and I don't know why Spirit's taken me there, but I think why that was coming in is that it comes back to determining something as good versus bad. And while there's things that do make us feel versus it's taking it all in stride and coming back to that blissfully neutral state that we use our toolboxes to harvest the lessons and to realize, okay, here's how I'm going to come back to how I want to feel right now in this moment. Because as we know, the past is the past, and the future isn't here yet. And the only thing we really have is the gift of the present moment. And so staying in the moment, in a balance with what was the lesson from something that might have happened from the past, and what is the dream about something that we want in the future, is really the way to navigate through these things that happen. And oftentimes what happens as a human is that we just get into our minds, and our minds just take over trying to evaluate this. So it's always coming back to the heart, coming back to what is it that I really want. And I think what everybody really wants is peace, joy, and love, and a sense of connection, a sense of belonging, and really being in their heart space, not running around with the monkey mind and the chaos and being spun around in the world. So that's our work every day, in every way, to just come back to our heart center, come back to our own inner light, and continue to awaken our inner wisdom, and do that through relationships, do that through heartache and heartbreak that comes to us in so many different ways. All right. Each week, I am so happy when you're here with me live. I love having the personal interaction. I love your questions. If you are watching on replay, you can also put questions in the comment section, or you can go over to bethbell.me/question and enter your question there. And if you haven't already taken the State of the Heart assessment, it's a wonderful little assessment. You'll find out where your heart is, and you'll get the 5 steps to healing your heart back to wholeness. Because even if your heart's whole today, things happen. It breaks our heart, and having a little extra, toolbox, little extra tool in your box is helpful at times to just get you through. And there's also the Awakening and Healing Handbook on bethbell.me. There's tons of tips, tools, techniques, and modalities in there. If you haven't already read the book, Angels, Herpes, and Psychedelics, Unraveling the Mind to Unveil Illusions, I think you'll find some really interesting stories in there. I talk about my awakening and all of the things that I got myself into and how I got myself out of them. And I think that we can commune together in some of life's most common experiences that are heartbreaking. There's also the herpes handbook, and there is, what's the other one I have? Psychedelics resource guide. We just talked about that one. So yeah, there's lots of resources, lots of things on bethbell.me. I would love to see you over there. And if you like anything that happened today, I would also love if you like and subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I look forward to seeing you again next week, every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I'll see you here live. And until then, wishing you much bliss and love on the journey. Namaste.